What's up, my PokeGs? Welcome to the pokegerse. My name is Gerson, and in today's video, we're going to be redesigning, or should I say, reimagining, the evolved form of the original Kanto grass starter Pokemon, Bulbasaur. We'll be creating the reimagined version of Ivysaur and Venusaur. We're going to be creating these new reimagined versions of these iconic Pokemon for a new series on this channel called Pokemon Kanto Reimagined, where we're going to be reimagining the original 151 Kanto region Pokemon. Some will stay a bit more true to their original source, while others might get completely revamped. And we're gonna already be starting off strong on the revamping in this video. Just a reminder that I'm in no way trying to say that these new reimagined designs are better than the original classic iconic designs. It's just a really fun experiment to take a new take on those designs and see what we can come up with those iconic creatures. In the previous episode, we revealed our reimagined starter Pokemon from Kanto, being the grass type Bulbasaur, the fire type Charmander, and the water type Squirtle. By the way, I figured since this is a new take on Kanto, New Kanto, I thought let's just call the region New Kanto. Like N-U, New Kanto, New Kanto. You know what I mean. New Kanto. Let's go with that. Just to catch you up with the reimagined Bulbasaur, in case you didn't watch the previous video, which I highly recommend, we were taking this new Bulbasaur in a traditional frog look, specifically the red-eyed tree frog, and we decided to do something really different with the bulb that was on the back of the original Bulbasaur, now covering the main body of this new version. Now, if you chose Bulbasaur as your reimagined Kanto starter for this new journey through New Kanto, let's take a look at what the reimagined Ivysaur and Venusaur are going to look like, and they're going to be very, very different. Stay tuned. So right off the bat, and although I do love the original Bulbasaur evolutionary line, my biggest issue, and this happens with all three original Kanto starters, is that compared to literally how every other Pokemon evolves, the Kanto starters have the least amount of change when evolving into their second stage. They simply get a bit bigger with not too much of a design change, but the biggest culprit of this is Bulbasaur into Ivysaur, who literally just gets slightly bigger, eyes are angry now, and the bulb on the back blooms.
There's a piece of leaf on it.
The goal with this design is to make the new Ivysaur look like its own Pokemon while still being able to connect visually with our new Bulbasaur and Venusaur. In the previous video, I had settled on leaning in more with the traditional frog look for this new Bulbasaur line, and that being said, frogs don't tend to be the animals winning any beauty contests. Granted, they certainly did give Greninja the handsome Squidward treatment for being a frog. But since these are both frog starter Pokemon, we're gonna make sure they give completely different vibes. Frogs are more often associated with being gross, slimy, ugly, which is why they are the creature of choice in the classic fairy tale, The Frog Prince. The Frog Prince, which inspired The Princess and the Frog, is the classic tale where the princess is forced to kiss a frog who is actually a handsome prince placed under a spell. A kiss between the princess and the frog is what breaks the spell, transforming the frog back into the handsome prince he once was. Essentially, the story is about overcoming appearances, with the act of kissing the frog symbolizing accepting the seemingly undesirable to find something better underneath. I gave the Ivysaur the appearance of one of those rotund frogs that you have to hold on its sides to pick up with the long arms and long legs that kind of remind me of Heatran, which got me thinking, is Heatran supposed to be a frog? Like, what are you? Anyway, I made more of the actual frog belly appear at the bottom of this Ivysaur, while making the flower bud that covered the main body of the reimagined Bulbasaur to begin to bloom and open up at the top, revealing a growing plant that looks like it has a crown at the very top. The crown being a reference to the prince of the classic fairy tales, but also being a nod to the crown-like shape that's growing out of the plant of the OG Venusaur. I gave the same cheek pattern on its face, similar to our reimagined Bulbasaur, but this time I envisioned them being able to function like cheek sacs that can inflate with air. I placed a lily pad-like leaf on its forehead, since frogs are synonymous with hopping on top of them to stay above water, and the lily pad will play a role in its evolved form design as well. I included the vine that is now much stronger than in its previous form to show it in action, but I picture the vine being able to retract back into the bulb when dormant. I'll include a version of this design for when the vine is not in use, but here is our reimagined Ivysaur. This Ivysaur is once again a pure grass type as opposed to the original Ivysaur, which was grass and poison. It truly gives me the vibes of that awkward modern middle stage starter Pokemon, but that was really the point. as well as the fact, and just a reminder for you, that it's not supposed to look pretty, keeping it in line with the Prince Frog fairy tale, as the kissing the frog seems like a pretty gross thing to do. Even then, I still think it has that balance of it's so ugly, it's kind of cute thing going on, so I really love it a lot. Let's dive into its Pokédex entry. Ivysaur, the Royal Frog Pokemon. This Pokemon is the subject of many fairy tales throughout New Kanto for many centuries. The most prominent tale being that Ivysaurs were once humans of royalty, perhaps a prince or princess of times gone by, who were transformed into this creature by a sorcerer wanting to teach a lesson in humility. Only a true love's kiss will break the enchantment and transform the Ivysaur back into a beautiful royal. But again, these are simply fairy tales. The vine that emerges from its bulb is quite powerful, easily being able to carry the weight of this Pokemon as it launches off to stick and crawl onto surfaces. Its calmer personality makes this Pokemon not engage in battle if it doesn't have to, mainly using its vine for offense to avoid major movement, but is no slouch if provoked. Let me know down in the comments if you like this different take on Ivysaur, and again, just keep in mind that it's just a different take, so no need to compete in the comments as to which version you like more. Okay, really quick, just before we get on to designing the reimagined Venusaur, I would just like to take a little moment to kindly ask that if you enjoyed this video so far, so please consider hitting that like button for the almighty YouTube algorithm. And if you aren't already currently subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? No, seriously, it would help me out a lot as we're on our current goal to 4,000 subscribers. Also, if you click on that bell button, you'll be able to get notified as soon as we upload a brand new video for this series. Down in the comments, I'd really love to know what original Kanto Pokemon you're looking forward to the most to get redesigned on this channel. It can literally be one of your favorites from the Kanto region that you'd like to see a new take on, or it could be one that you really hate that you just want to see get completely revamped. By the way, if you stick around till the end of the video, you may see a sneak preview of the Charizard that's going to be fully redesigned on the next episode we upload in this video. What? In this series. That's what I meant to say. Okay, with all of that out of the way, let's get on to designing the reimagined Venusaur, and like I said, it's gonna be very different, so let's get into it. Given that this is the final stage, I want to make this massive. Much like the Venusaur that we already know, but give more of the vibes of the giant toads from Naruto, which again, the frog ninja theme is already taken by Greninja, but these will completely be different in design, where there won't be much comparison outside of the frog starter. If anything, I picture Greninjas riding on top of this giant frog, much like the ninjas do in Naruto. Going back to the previous theme, when I was doing research for frogs and fairy tales, I kept running into pictures of this frog fairy thing, a frog with fairy wings, and it just came up so much that it got me thinking, a frog with fairy wings? That couldn't possibly work as a Pokemon, right? So I decided to take on the challenge, and being that this reimagined Bulbasaur line already has the fairy tale theme, but what if we slapped another fairy tale in there with the fairy frog? But we're not just gonna go ahead and slap on some fairy wings and call it a day. Instead, I'm going to open up the plant that has been growing on top of this Pokemon to fully bloom into a flower that the petals end up looking as if they were the fairy wings. I'm placing the flower on a giant lily pad-like plant that is now being carried on the back of this new Venusaur, which is literally like the flowers that actually grow on lily pads. To keep its monstrous design for the main body, I took inspiration from the quote-unquote demon frog, the extinct Beel's Bufo frog. That's hard to say. Beel's Bufo frog, which will offer this design a great contrast between intimidatingly hideous and absolute beauty being carried on the back of this creature. This Pokemon is literally the embodiment of beauty and the beast, all in one. The cheeks have the inflatable pouches from the previous form, along with orbs around the arms that could be like warts growing on the body. I stylized the core of the plant by creating a large, circular, illuminating bulb with 3 points that continue the crown look, and I added the vine that has now grown some spikes, or thorns in this case. That way it still has an element of roughness, however, its full render it'll be illuminated and glowing with fairy magic. I also kind of picture the tip of the vine to be able to just stick onto things instead of having to wrap around, similar to the frog tongue, so it could kind of use it as a frog tongue instead of using its own frog tongue. And here is my new, completely reimagined Venusaur. I know it's very, very different from the Venusaur we're all used to, but again, that was the main point of this series. I hope you had picked up on how many times I had mentioned fairy in this line, because one way that I was really going to switch things up with this series was to replace Venusaur's previous poison typing with the fairy typing, making this reimagined Venusaur grass and fairy. I'll include its dormant form when it's not in full attack, and its shiny is a reference to Gamabunta, the giant chief toad from Naruto. Let's dive into the Pokédex entry. Venusaur, the fairy frog Pokemon. This Pokemon is highly regarded as the protector of the land and all that is nature. They open up their petals to release an illuminating pollen that heals and grows the land they walk on. Although at first glance, some may find themselves intimidated by the presence of this behemoth, they are more often very lax and docile in nature. They will, however, go on a rampant rage if they happen to encounter someone destroying nature. This Pokemon will use its legs to propel itself and hop at fairly great distances, making a trembling sound when landing. Some have shared tales of even seeing this Pokemon fly in the air with its large petals, but that has yet to be proven. It is also often speculated that this Pokemon was granted additional power from the legends themselves. And there you have the reimagined Bulbasaur line for this journey through New Kanto. If you selected Bulbasaur as your reimagined Kanto starter without knowing what they'd evolve into, I really hope you still like the entire line. And once again, please give this video a thumbs up for the almighty YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel as it's free for you, helps me out a lot, as we're on our current goal to make this YouTube channel our full-time job. Coming back to this channel after my long hiatus off of YouTube has been very rewarding. I'm looking forward to seeing the growth of this channel, and I'll need your help to do that. And you subscribing to the channel, again, helps out so much, and you giving the thumbs up to the channel and the videos also pushes it out to other people who might also enjoy this kind of content. Thank you again for sticking around to the end of the video, and as promised, here's a sneak preview of Mr. Most Popular Pokemon in the world, our reimagined Charizard that we're gonna fully design in our next video. So again, stay tuned for that, to turn on the notifications if you don't have them on, and I don't know what else to say, but thanks again, and peace out. I'll see you in the next one.